Good evening. Thank you for staying here. I understand that it's quite late and this topic is very specialized. First, I'm going to tell you about myself. You know my name. For the last 12-15 years, I have been engaged in cryptography issues. That's why all my presentations on database conferences are based on the same principle. There is a joke about a student who learned only one question about one animal, and whatever question he received, he would tell the audience about this animal, and I'm quite similar to that student. So to protect communication between a client and a server in any application, TLS protocol is used. In the past, SSL versions were used, and now we have only 3 versions of TLS protocol, 1.0, 1.2. TLS protocol fulfills 2 tasks. Encryption of traffic, everyone knows about it, and authentication of parties. Sometimes it conducts mutual authentication, sometimes one-side authentication. In Postgres, SSL protocol is implemented not independently, it is implemented through Open SSL library. And now, for Open SSL, 1.0 version is the most recent version. It will be used up to the end of 2019. And 1.10 is upstream now, and if you have a previous version, you should better upgrade it. The framework is quite okay in terms of security, and they use universal values by default. Now, by default, one encryption algorithm is used. It is AES algorithm. It is a good algorithm, and it is supported on hardware level in almost all modern processors. That's why, using it, the program works fast. And there are security reasons behind that. When connection is established, there is a scheme of key exchange, Diffie-Hellman exchange. It is used by default. We live in Russia, and that's why sometimes we have strange customers who want cryptography to be based on governmental standard GOST. For this purpose, we can use OpenSSL-conf variable. Through this file, we can load GOST engine, and in that case, you will receive GOST out of box. For SSL protocol to be available for a client who wants to connect the server, you are to turn it on. It can be turned on by PostgreSQL conf. So you should write that SSL is on. After that, you choose your parameters. SSL set file, SSL key file. We use open key cryptography. SSL key file is a secret key file. No one should see it. Sometimes it is protected by a password. Sometimes it is downloaded on hardware modules. And if it is protected by a password, it means that when the server is relaunched, you will have to enter this password. That's why normally it is not protected by a password. CRL, Certificate Authentication List. If you use your local authorization center, then sometimes certificates are recalled because they're related to employees who were fired, for example, and you can write this. Another parameter, SSL DH params file. It's about key exchange, Diff-Hellman key exchange. It is a number saved in a file. If you want, you can generate this big figure yourself. If you do not need it, you do not have to write it. In that case, you will have some parameters by default. Why do we need to generate it? Well, because parameters by default off-the-shelf parameters are subjected to cryptanalysis. So, theoretically, your competitors may conduct lots of operations and analyze traffic for standard parameters. I think that this is not topical for you, but it can happen sometimes. SSL ciphers. You can use OpenSale by default. You do not have to touch these parameters, or you can leave free as there. You can leave governmental standards there, cost standards. The syntax is described in OpenSSL documents. You do not have to. We do not have to mention it now. You need to read it. And another parameter that you can include, this is SSL CA file parameter. If you want your clients to authorize by a certificate, this parameter is about lists of authentication centers. So if this parameter is set, and if a client received certificate in a center different from the one specified in the list, he will not be able to use it. Authentication. By default, authentication is off. The server has certificate keys, self-generated keys, snakeoval.perm, snakeoval key perm, and snakeoval c perm. The certificates are not issued by an authentication center. They are included in the distribution supplies, or they are generated from scratch. Still, a client that connects a server in real life, if we do not set it, especially then, it's necessary when there may be some problems with the server, but if you want this verification to be switched on, then it can be implemented in libpq library that is used for most clients. So, you input root certificates into file root CRT, and if you want this server to authorize you by certificate, then you should include the PostgreSQL CRT and PostgreSQL key, and everything should start operating automatically. You can find some additional details in the documents. Let's go on. So if we do not turn it on, you will have an encrypted traffic. It's not important for many projects to know the way this traffic was encrypted. Now we're going to speak about customer authentication. There is PGConf file. First of all, it's possible to switch on special requirements so that a client who does not have a certificate will not be able to enter. And you can switch it on for any authentication method. You can switch on client cert option. But it does not provide you with obligatory authentication. For this purpose, there is a specific method, and the server will request the customer to provide certificate. This certificate will be taken from the file mentioned on the previous slide, PostgreSQL key. Without authentication key, it will not work because signatures or secret data are produced on the key. If you turn on certificate authentication, then the name of the user that has connected will be taken from the certificate and from common name field. Common name field is quite big. It includes country, city, organization, department, login, email, and a lot of other information. This type of username is not convenient, but there is a map option that describes the way that you can use to get the name of the user that stands for login. After you installed SSL connection, just in case you need it, you have SS-info package that provides you with a set of functions. For example, you can write something in your log. You can check if SSL is used in this connection. So, SSL is used. You can see it on the slide. Version of the protocol, SSL cipher, whether client certificate was presented or not, and features of the client certificate. This extension was created by Viktor Vanger a long time ago. He works in Postgres Pro now. This is Contrib. By default, it is not provided. Speaking about authentication, certificate authentication was already mentioned. Majority of users use password authentication. There are three options. First of all, you can store password in database. Well, it was possible to do it, but starting from version 10, it is not possible. Also, you can use MD5 identification method. In that case, database stores identification from login and password. Bruce Mumjan told you about it. It is quite a reliable scheme until they stole your passwords. And it's quite reliable, but it is not preferable. For example, in version 10 there is a new scheme of authentication, Scrum SHA-256. It's more reliable. To have it, you should check that all the clients stored in your base. Well, first of all, you should have version 10. After that, you should check that all the clients knew how to use this scheme. After that, you will have to regenerate passwords and change authentication method for these clients. I have a link to the article that describes this method. This method is more reliable. It has the following advantage. Login and password. One login and password will give you different caches because of different numbers. So that's it. Do you have any questions? So we have some time left. Sergey Novikov. Hello. I'm not a specialist in terms of protocols and encryption. In PGConf there is SSL configuration. You can provide a protocol, select TLS version, or you can select encryption. Besides an encryption, by default, it is written fast is written there. So what is meant by fast encryption? And regarding the protocol, it includes all types of encryption, LS2, 0, 2, and there is CQ, that is 1 and 2. So 1, 0 and 1, 1, 0 is not CQ. Well, theoretically, 1, 0 is also, it is improved actually, but normally this is about previous algorithms of encryption, DIS and RC4. They should not be used now. After that, in the standards we have AS, dozens of versions, and Camille, this is a Japanese encryption algorithm. It is present in the standard, but you do not really need it. So we can use AS protocol 1 and 2. It is more reliable and it is better due to special features of IS cipher. Thank you. Victor Istomin, I have a question regarding authentication. I heard that you told about authentication by login a password by TBS, and what about Kerberos? Maybe something similar to it. Kerberos is present as well. There are several APIs there, several types of authentication with a reliable source. But I did not include this information into my presentation. Thank you. Hello, my name is Maxim. I would like to ask you about upgrade for Scan. Regenerate password. It means that all the users included in HBA should get new passwords. Yes. Can you do it quickly without downtime? Or do you have to be very careful with it? As far as I understand, I have not conducted such an experiment yet. Well, but I can say that you can have MD5 password and Scram password and do it very carefully, without downtime. But I have not tried doing it yet. Hello, my name is Dmitry. I have the following question. At the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned the use of Diffie-Hellman exchange algorithm. So, can this protocol be used in Postgres? And is authentication used there? Because without authentication, as we know, Diffie-Hellman protocol will not be that convenient. Well, I told you a little bit about authentication, that it is switched off by default, but you can switch it on if you want, if you know why you need to do it and you think that you really need to do it. Identification parameters, well, yes, there are SSL parameters. You can generate this file using a stale.dh command, and you can write surface suits that are authorized by Diffie-Hellman protocol. And we have the last question. Hello, thank you for your presentation. My name is Yaroslav. I would like to know whether there are some special features when you build debugging in another database management system. I don't know, I have not checked it. Okay, thank you. So we ran out of time. You can ask your questions of the presenter in the corridor. Thank you, Dmitry.